Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here today with another human design video for you. And today we're going to be looking at the 4 aura types in human design. So before we get started, I just want to make a quick announcement that I've recently created an online platform in which you can support me through the platform by buying me a coffee if you like. So the support that you provide will help me when it comes to the equipment and the tools, as well as programs and software that I need to invest in when it comes to making videos for you guys on YouTube, as well as doing birth chart readings and things like that. So if you're interested in that, you can visit the platform. I'll provide a link to that in the description box below. Also, I just recently finished filming this video. While I was rewatching it, I realized that my microphone battery had died. So I was recording the whole thing mute. So now I'm gonna be recording it again. Alright guys, so if you're wondering what type you are in human design, you can get your body graph done online either through jovinarchive.com or my body graph. I'll provide a link to that in the description box below and you can check both of those websites out. So yeah, basically there are four main types, aura types in human design, and that is the generator, the projector, the manifestor, and the reflector. And the generators are divided into 2 subtypes, the pure generators and the manifesting generators. So in this video, first I'll go through what makes each of the aura types, how they're made up with regards to human design, and I'll talk specifically about each of the types and how to best use your energy aura type at its highest vibration and for your own personal benefit. And then I'll give you some examples of my own personal experience with each of the aura types and how I've been interacting with them in my life. Okay, so an aura is considered to be a human energy field, and they can expand up to 2 arms length, meaning that you can be in one room and there's somebody else in the room next to you. You may still be able to pick up and feel their aura because, you know, auras, the span of an aura is pretty, it spans pretty far and it doesn't take into consideration barriers like a wall. And each aura type has a very interesting way of interacting with each other as well. When different aura types meet up, they have a way of communicating and interacting with each other. In human design, each type is made up based on how energy is transferred from each of the centers in the body. And so I want to let you guys know first that there are considered to be 4 energy motors within the 9 centers in the human design body graph, and it's important to have an understanding of the different motors because these motors make up the energy types. So the 4 motors in the body graph are the sacral, the root, the emotional solar plexus, and the will or the heart center. These different motors get you to take action in your life based on different types of motivations. So we're going to go through that right now. So the sacral center gives consistent workforce and life force energy. It's like a generator that will operate every day, but it needs to get charged at night when you sleep. So I want to compare this energy, this motor, to a solar panel, you know, but of course the solar panel gets charged during the day in the sun. But if the sun is still shining, the solar panel keeps getting charged, and then it gives you electricity or energy to use within your house. It's kind of like the sacral center. Once you go to sleep, it gets charged, you wake up the next day, it runs again until it's finished running. When you go to sleep, it gets charged, you wake up the next day, it runs again. So it's a very consistent energy, which is really good for work, because when you go to work, you have to go to work every day. So you need this energy to keep going every day, consistently, according to a specific schedule. The next motor in the body is the root center. The root center has a different kind of way of taking action, and it basically takes action from fuel. So the root center is connected energetically to the head center or the crown center in human design, and it takes fuel from the head center, meaning inspiration, either internal or external inspiration, questions that have to be answered about the world. Those kinds of things fuel the root center. So the inspiration comes into the crown, it gets to the root. Now the root wants to take action, and it pumps up this energy like adrenaline to the throat, and the throat expresses whatever has come into the crown. It has the energy to express because of the root that pumps it up to the throat. So I want to compare the root center to kind of like the engine of a car. You need to give it gas in order to get it to run. If you don't give it gas or fuel, it's not going to run. It's not like the sacral. It doesn't operate in cycles consistently like that. It needs fuel. The next motor is the emotional solar plexus center. This center takes action based on feelings, desire, that kind of desire nature. So it's kind of like you have the energy to do something because you're in the mood for it. But the thing about the center is that when emotions flood you, it can really be easy to be in the high of feelings and emotions, and you're not recommended to take action when you're in the high. You're required to wait for the fluctuations and the emotional waves to calm down first, so that you can make decisions that will last long term. Because if you make a decision based on that period when you're in the high, the decision won't last long term. The action won't sustain long term. So I want to compare this to like a sailing boat. You know, when the emotions and the excitement, the desires flood in, it's kind of like a storm. It's very strong. This is a very intense energy. But you can't sail the boat in a storm. It's not gonna work, it's not gonna last. So you have to wait for the storm to die out and the waters are calm, and then you can see the path clearly, and then you take action when the storm, the fluctuations have died out, and then you know the right course to go in, because you get clarity. And the last motor center is the will or the heart center. This center takes action based on commitments. When you sign a contract for something, maybe it's like a marriage, you have the willpower, the energy to pursue something because there's a commitment being made, there's a goal that has been set. This is a very unstoppable energy. When the goal is right, it's very unstoppable. And I want to compare this center, the way the center works, to when your computer is asking for an update and you're kind of sitting there and the computer's updating 1%, 20%, 55%. It has a goal. It has to update to 100%, and there's nothing you can do in the meantime except wait for it to complete its course. It's unstoppable in that sense. That's how the motor of the will works. Okay, so now let's have a look at each of the aura types. These are the 4 aura types. The generators includes manifesting generators as well as pure generators, but I'll tell you what the difference is. So the generators make up approximately 67% of people in the world. If you are a generator, you must have your sacral center defined. So if we think back about the solar panel that I talked about earlier, generators tend to work like this. That's why they are the life force, the workers, the worker bees in our world. They are the people who create what we have in the world right now, because they have that energy, consistent energy that keeps going every day, right? So if you have a defined sacral, you're definitely going to be a generator. But if your defined sacral doesn't have a channel that directly connects to your throat, you will be a pure generator. If you have a defined sacral and you have a motor that is any of the motors directly connected to your throat, that makes you a manifesting generator. And that is a very busy body type of energy. So if we see the other 3 aura types, none of them have a defined sacral. So if your sacral is not defined, you are definitely not going to be a generator type. You will be the other 3 types, which automatically means you're not here to be a workforce, a busy body type that produces and works for the world. Now, with regards to the manifestors, they make up only 9% of the people in the world. And with a manifestor, to be a manifestor, you must have an undefined or open sacral, but you will have one of your motors, or maybe it's two motors, or maybe it's three, the other motors, any motor, connected directly to your throat. So you'll have a channel connecting that motor to the throat center, meaning that you are able to initiate and make things happen in the world if you're operating correctly on the design of that motor center. So it can be a connection from the solar plexus directly to the throat, a channel from that. It can be a channel from your root connected to the spleen and then connected to the throat. That can make you a manifestor. Now, if you have a channel that is connecting the root to the sacral, to the identity, to the throat, you will not be a manifestor, because that means you have a defined sacral. That will make you probably a manifesting generator type. Okay? So I hope that's making sense so far, guys. So if you're a projector, they make up approximately 23% of the people in the world. And like the manifestor, you will have an undefined sacral. But you will not have a direct connection from your motors to your throat. So you can have the other three motors defined. That can make you a projector. But those three motors must not have a connection directly to the throat. So, you can have your emotional solar plexus defined, but there should be no channel from the emotional solar plexus to the throat. You can have your will defined, but you must not have a connection from the will directly to the throat. The last type is the reflector. So reflectors make up only 1% of the people in the world, and so this is a very rare type. To be a reflector, you must have no center in your body defined. So all of your centers will be undefined or opened. This means that you will not have a channel in your human design body graph. You can have gates being defined, but you have no defined channel. And therefore, reflectors are considered to have no inner authority. Authority means the way that we make decisions in our life, and the way that we should be making decisions according to human design is by listening to how each of the centers operate. And because reflectors have no defined center, they need to be making decisions based on something else, which I'll talk about later when we talk about the reflector type. So that's basically what makes up the foundations or the mechanics behind the makeup of each aura type. Now I want to talk to you about what each aura would look like if you were able to see energy with the naked eye in the energy field around us, and how it kind of feels to be in the presence of each aura type. So we're going to start off first with the manifestor. The manifestor is said to have a closed and repelling aura. Aura of the manifestor has to be this way is because manifestors are designed according to human design to be able to go at things alone in life, to be able to initiate and start something in life by themselves. And that's very powerful. And in order to do that, you need an energy in which you don't need other people around you. So that's why the energy of the manifestors can be a bit repelling. And so sometimes manifestors may feel a little bit lonely in their lives, and so there is a strategy, which I'll talk about later, for the manifestors, which is called to inform, so that the people around them don't run away from their very powerful energy. So the energy of the manifestor is like a blast, because their sacral is not defined, right? So they don't have that consistent energy where they can wake up the next day, do work, sleep, wake up the next day, do work, sleep, recharge. So therefore their energy just kind of blasts out, and then they need downtime to recharge by themselves. It's not a consistent sustaining type of an energy. They tend to create more spontaneously, and this can make the people around them sometimes feel intimidated or fearful or insecure by their very powerful energy. Because the people around them are not sure what's going to be coming up for them. So they can be a little bit fearful of manifestor types of energy. And so if I were to compare the manifestor energy to something in the world, I would think it's a bomb. It's very powerful. It's sort of this ticking bomb. It ticks, 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 and then suddenly explodes and bursts into this powerful, creative, initiative energy. But after the burst, it's gone, and then it needs to tick, tick, tick again before it can burst again. That is how I would describe the manifestor aura. So next, let's look at the generator. So generator aura is open and enveloping. The generator aura is designed to draw life to them and to give off life, to sustain life. You know, the things that we do to sustain life, like have relationships with people, be able to outsource food, be able to build a life, build a home, build a life. These are very much life force energy. Be able to have fun and be singing and laughing and entertain ourselves. These are life force energy, and so their aura is designed for that. So when you're around a generator, you tend to feel warm. There's this embracing kind of an energy. If it's a manifesting generator, they tend to be a little bit more upbeat. They have a faster moving energy which has this rhythm and upbeat and very fun quality about them. Very joyful. If they're a pure generator, I feel they can be a little bit more relaxed and chilled out and very open and welcoming and just really nice chill out energy to be around. They have this type of I'm ready and I'm open for business type of an aura. The sacral energy is really juicy. When they're around, it's like life has entered the room. You can feel, well, because I'm a projector, so I can feel the sacral energy, and when it's not around, I can feel that it's gone. But when the sacral energy comes into a room, it's like a butterfly that's just like flying around and there's life. But if a generator is doing something that kind of drains them, they can drain the life out of a room as well. If I were to compare the generator energy to something in the world, you know, it would be like a fireplace. That's it. That is a generator energy. It makes you feel cozy and warm when you need to, but it gives you life. Like it's a fire that gives you life. It makes you feel refreshed, but it's also warm at the same time, and it keeps burning and burning and burning, and you want to be around it. Kind of like that energy. The projector. So the projector aura type is considered to be focused and absorbing. The reason why they're so focused and absorbing is because this aura type is designed to get to the core of other human beings and anything in the world. It's focused on getting to the core of something. So it needs to be able to penetrate, cut through to whatever it is that catches their attention and whatever they're interested in. So I would compare this energy type to like a knife. So if you are a projector and you have this aura type, you have to be careful how you want to use the knife. Some people may ask to be cut because they want to know more about themselves. They want to gain an awareness of their being at their core, so then you are being given the opportunity to take your knife and to cut right into them and then to expose things about them, or maybe it's a system. But if some people, you know, they don't want to have that penetration, that means that you have to wait. You can't just go around using your knife, projectors, and telling people things about themselves that is gonna feel a little bit like you've crossed their boundaries. That can happen with a projector. And the best way that a projector can really use their knife-like type of an aura is to wait, of course, but it's just, you know, when they are even being asked to cut, they should do it slowly. But also through mastering a particular system, through knowing something very deeply, they can cut in the right way. If you're around a projector and you're not very close to them, you may not really feel their aura or their energy at all because they're not using their knife. It's like they're not really there. But if you're close to a projector and they start using their knife, it's very magnetic. It's a very magnetic type of energy because it's like you are seen by the projector, that a deeper part of you is being seen by them that nobody else has ever seen or can ever see about you. So the last type is the reflector. The reflector energy type is resistant and sampling. Sampling, this is because the reflectors are designed, according to human design, to be able to hold space for their community and the society. The aura of the reflector is considered to be an invisible energy field that surrounds all living creatures. I would compare, in my interpretation, the reflector aura to a thermometer. That wherever the reflector goes, they're able to measure and reflect back to the community the health and the well-being of that particular community or group. When you're around a reflector, you're going to be able to see yourself in them. And the social situations that you're in, you're going to be able to see that through the way that the reflector, the energy they give off, the things they do or say, is reflecting back to the health of the vibration of you and your surrounding. So generally, this reflector energy is very calming, very soothing type of an energy to be around. Okay guys, now I want to go into each of the aura types and tell you a little bit more about them. So we'll start off with the manifestor. So for each of the types, there's going to be a strategy, a signature, a not self, a friend and a foe, what I would call, and an existential question. And then after telling you guys about these different categories, I'll tell you my experience with each of the types. So the manifestor strategy is to inform. So the strategy is how you can best use your energy to the benefit of the world and yourself, and to raise it to the highest vibration. So like I said, the manifestor energy is this burst of power, this force to be reckoned with type of an energy. And therefore the manifestor is recommended to make sure to inform the people around them about what they're up to, what plans they have, what they're going to do next, in order to experience their signature, which is peace. That is what the manifestor, at their highest state, they can feel peace. Peace because they're able to go their own way. They're able to do what they believe is true and is gonna help the world, where their power is going to be best used without having people around them pulling them back or complaining, and the manifestor is having to feel guilty or feeling lonely. They're able to coincide their individual paths without having that conflict, without having that conflict with the people around them. And that's why the manifestor's signature is peace. And the manifestor is the only energy type out of the other human design types that does not have to wait before they act. Okay, so meaning that a manifestor is able to come up with ideas in their head, and when it is the right idea for them, when they're listening to their authority, which means which of your centers is the most, is the strongest. Maybe it's the emotional solar plexus, maybe it's the spleen. So you have to listen to how that energy center works. And when you're on the right path, then you can make anything happen in the world. But if a manifestor is not listening to their decision-making process and they are on the wrong path, they're not gonna find happiness in what they're manifesting. But if they're on the right path, then they can just do it. So the not self of the manifestor is anger. This means that they're operating on the lower vibration of their energy. If you're a manifestor and you are not informing the people around you with what you're doing, you will experience anger, because you're gonna experience power struggles with people in your environment. People who may feel they have to control you because you're intimidating to them and you haven't informed them of what you're doing. They don't know where you're coming from. You can be a threat. It may not be natural for the manifestor to inform, but it is part of the strategy. So what is recommended for the manifestor is just to tell people around them what they're up to, and the people around them will feel less threatened. And this power struggle that causes a lot of anger in the manifestor will slowly die away, or will not be there. The manifestor also has bursts of energy. They're not like a generator where they can have consistent energy, and so they can burn out as well. And sometimes, the people who are working with the manifestor, because the manifestor has this burst of forceful energy, the people around them will feel like the manifestor can have a lot of energy to keep doing work, which the manifestor doesn't. So the manifestor needs downtime to recharge, needs to be alone. They need to do their thing, be alone. Do whatever they want, be alone to recharge. And that's why when people are controlling the manifestor or thinking that the manifestor has to do things in a certain way or telling the manifestor what to do, the manifestor gets really angry. So the manifestor is learning to inform in order to generate peace and be able to do their own thing. So yes, the friend and the foe of the manifestor is also what I would consider to be power struggles. And I think I already explained why it is a foe. But the reason why manifestors can make this into a friend means that they are the ones who has the power. The manifestor has to take the power back to themselves. I feel like this is a very Pluto-Uranus type of an energy with the manifestor. Taking the power back to yourself, meaning that knowing that nobody can really take power away from you if you don't externalize power. You don't let other people control you, but at the same time, in order to not let people control you, you have to know how to tactfully inform them of what you're doing. And then you take the power back to yourself, and this is a very powerful type of an aura. People listen to you when you speak because you know what you're doing. You know what you're speaking. There's a certainty and a force when you speak and when you initiate things in the world. The existential question of the manifestor is, who do I impact? So the manifestor can really master their ability to impact people in the world, meaning that this also means impacting people who are trying to control them in a tactful way, as well as impacting the world through initiating changes that need to be done to better progress the society. They can come up with projects that really help people, that really help the environment. They can start that. They can be the leader in that sense. Not the ruler, but the leader. So my experience with a manifestor. This is really interesting. I actually have a friend who is a manifestor, and we've been friends since high school. But you know how I said the manifestor can be like a ticking time bomb until they burst with all this energy? I think he was kind of like that, because in high school, he seemed like a really timid, shy person, a little bit introverted. He needs to be alone a lot. But when he's around people, he seemed to be really passive. That would be the word, passive around people. And for a large part of our 20s, he would disappear. We're basically in the same friend group, and I would hang out with some of the other people in the group, but he was never there. And nobody, there was a large part of our 20s where nobody really knew what he was up to. And I think it was around his Saturn return, so in his late 20s, around when he was around 28 or 29, he kind of came out into the world again, and he was totally different. He started getting into politics, and he started, making his way up the governmental ladder, shall we say. And he has this really good heart. He's a Virgo, Sun and Moon conjunct. So he has a really good heart. He really is concerned about helping people in underprivileged communities. And he's been making his way up to the authorities in order to influence, in order to bring out projects that he feels is going to better the society, the poorer communities in Bangkok, in Thailand. And when we're around him nowadays, he's really different. He's really bringing out that manifestor energy, and when he speaks, we respect him. We listen to what he has to do, because out of the blue, he takes in this position of leadership in the community that we didn't think he had within him. So I really feel like for maybe a large chunk of a manifestor's life, or at least in their earlier years, they kind of are angry, sort of a little bit angry inside, because they feel that they feel that they have to fit in. But if you're a manifestor, you're born to stand out. You're not born to fit in. And you're gonna have to embrace the power that you have within you, like my friend did. And you can make miracles. So that's my experience with the Manifestor. The next type we're going to talk about is going to be the pure generators. So the strategy for the pure generator is to wait to respond. So if they wait to respond, they can experience their signature, which is satisfaction. So waiting to respond for a generator means they see something in their external environment that they feel like, they want to engage in, they want to start. But what they have to do is they still have to wait for a couple of things. They have to wait, first of all, for their authority, because there's going to be another defined center in their body, maybe their emotional solar plexus authority. You have to either be an emotional solar plexus authority generator or a sacral authority generator. Even the emotional solar plexus, you still have to wait for your emotional waves to die out. If you're a sacral, you have to wait for that sacral response. And in human design, a sacral response is by listening to this voice inside your sacral that tells you whether something is right for you or not. And I think it works like you ask yourself a question, or you get people in the environment, maybe a projector, to ask you a question that you can respond yes or no. And you respond yes or no according to how it feels in your gut. So for example, you want to know what to eat. If you ask yourself, or you get somebody to ask you a yes or no question, like, do you want sushi? What does your gut say? Your gut will either be yes, or if it's going, it doesn't have that sound, that means you don't want to eat the sushi. If they say, oh, do you want to have spaghetti? And your gut says, yes, I want to have spaghetti. Then that's what you gotta go for if you're a sacral generator. But if you're emotional solar plexus authority generator, you still have to listen to that emotional wave first. So if a generator follows their strategy and authority, they can experience satisfaction, meaning that they put themselves in an environment that really makes them come alive, that does not drain their energy. And this should definitely be in terms of their career. The generators are here to find the right career for them by listening to their authority and their gut to tell them to respond to the right career. They're searching to find who they are in the world. So the satisfaction comes when a generator is able to put themselves in a work by listening to their sacral and the voice and their solar plexus authority, if they have that, where they can have a lifetime of work that they can master. That is very, very fulfilling, that gives them energy, that gives them a feeling of abundance, that the universe has provided them with this abundance, and that they're able to make a change in the world in the way that they want, and to have fun along the way, to find joy. So their not self theme is frustration. So of course frustration is going to happen when they're stuck in a job that they feel is not right for them. And when they're saying yes to things that they may not want to because they're not listening to their sacral. But the frustration can be turned into their friend as well as a foe, because generators are here to master a particular job or career path. And usually they're going to be able to make their way up to a certain level, and then they start to hit a plateau. When generators start to hit that plateau, they start to get frustrated. That is a sign that you're not on the right path for you, and therefore you need to wait for the universe to bring in some new experiences into your life and then respond to that. And the universe will. If you wait, they will bring you they will bring in people, signs, messages in which you are then going to be able to pick up and respond to based on yes and no from your gut. So that's why the frustration can then turn into your friend. So the existential question for the generator is, who am I? Because they're here to find their way in the world and to master something that they're very good at, and to feel fun and fulfilled with that. My experience with a generator. I know quite a few generators in my life, some friends, as well as my mom. She's a generator. I like being around generators because I feel that they're very easy to be with. They have natural relational skills. Especially when they're in with a group of people, they really know how to make sure that everyone in a particular social setting or group feels good. They are funny, they know the right social cues when they're in a group, and they have this energy that makes me feel alive when I'm with them, because I'm a projector, so I don't have a defined sacral. So I like the juiciness of the sacral energy when I'm around a generator. It makes you feel like you've got life. It makes you feel safe even sometimes. Like they know how they're going to navigate their way into the world. They know how to survive in the world, and that feeling of safety and having somebody, give you warmth is what I really feel with my experience with generators, pure generators. Now we're going to talk about the manifesting generator. So, the manifesting generator, their strategy is to visualize and inform, also like a way to respond. So a manifesting generator is sort of a hybrid between a generator and a manifestor, but they're more leaning towards the generator because of that defined sacral. So what tends to happen with the manifesting generator is that they will get a sign from their environment, like a generator would, that maybe it's a person, an idea, a job offer that they feel they want to initiate or they want to get into. They still have to wait to respond to that. So what the manifesting generator can do while they're waiting to respond is they can visualize. This is recommended for them, meaning that they see an idea that can manifest in the world, in the environment, and then they think about how that's going to play out with that idea in their head. They go over it, they picture it, and they obviously listen to either the sacral authority or the emotional solar plexus authority, depending on which one they have and how that works. They still need to wait for the aha moment, the yes and no, and then they can go for it, but they have to inform. Because the manifesting generator has a little bit of that spontaneous need to act like a manifestor does, and so the people around the manifesting generator can sometimes feel left out, and then they can feel a little bit lonely as well. So they need to inform the people around them, and then they can start acting and doing what they have to do, and when they do, they are unstoppable, just like a manifestor would be. So their signature is satisfaction, finding the right work for them, being on the right life path, following their life purpose, similar to the generator. Their not self is both anger and frustration, just like the generator. So you can go back and watch the part where I talk about the not self of the generator. Their friend and their foe is multitasking. This is very interesting, I think, with the manifesting generator. You see, manifesting generators have a defined sacral, plus they have a motor connected to the throat. So they have the ability to initiate something in the world, but they also have that consistent energy that operates in cycles every day. So this means that they're able to actually do many things at the same time. But sometimes when a manifesting generator is multitasking, they can find that they are skipping steps and they overlook certain details. And if they're working with people, they can be a little bit impatient because they feel like people in the world are not working as fast as they are, and then that can lead to the frustration of the not self as well. But they have to understand that as a manifesting generator, you are here to be able to do many things at once, and you are here to know that it's okay to skip steps sometimes, that sometimes to just finish something, not everything, but there are certain things that requires it to be finished. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to get done. That is a task for a manifesting generator. And then you can have other people working for you who can review the details again. And the reason why multitasking can also be a foe is that sometimes manifesting generators can get many things started, but if they're not responding correctly, they're kind of getting things started that doesn't satisfy them, that they don't really want to do, that makes them feel empty, and they end up doing a lot of things and they're not really accomplishing anything. So that can cause a bit of a frustration for the manifesting generators as well. So their existential question is also, who am I? They're also here to experience life and people to the fullest and find what kind of job suits them and how they're gonna run their creative ideas and projects into the world, how they're gonna make the world a more colorful place through their creative ideas and be spontaneously acting on that. So my experience with a manifesting generator, I know a lot of manifesting generators, friends. My dad is a manifesting generator. I like manifesting generators' energy because I'm a projector and they really push me as a projector. They really push me to do things in my life. But of course, sometimes I have to tell them to relax a little bit as well because I need to be alone and recharge and things. But they're very busy people. You can't get a hold of them, these manifesting generator people. You call them up one day and they're like in another city doing some retreat. You call them another day, they're back and they have a new project going on at work. You call them up another day and they're, you know, taking some kind of workshop or class. They have a lot of projects going. They have a lot of hobbies. They're kind of the type of people that, from what I've experienced, they don't really reply your text messages because they're very busy doing other things. And sometimes they read your text messages, but they're multitasking, right? So they're reading your text message, but they're also like doing work at the same time as well as playing computer games. And so they read your message, but then they're about to reply, but then, oh, they got distracted by their work. Oh, and then they have to defeat this villain in their computer game and they didn't reply your message anymore. You know, things like that. They're very, they have this kind of like Gemini, busybody type of energy about them. I really like to be around them because they are the life of the party. A lot of the times when they're around in social settings in a group, they tend to be sort of loud and like they get people's attention because, like I said, they have a bit of that manifestor energy as well, meaning they can come off strong, but they're still fun. So they can make jokes that are very loud, very strong, but it's funny, like a generator. They're still warm, you know, they still have that warm aura about them. So that's my experience with the manifesting generator. The projector. So the strategy for the projector is to wait for the invitation. So, like I mentioned earlier, the projector's aura is like a knife, meaning that a lot of the times projectors can, you see, because a projector has an undefined sacral, and when centers in your body are undefined, it means that you gain wisdom about that particular energy. So projectors have a wisdom about how to use energy in the best way, how to look for the right career for you. So projectors they have a very special purpose in being able to guide others into finding their life purpose, into finding the best careers for them, into how to best use their energy in the world. So projectors have advice or insight that they would like to give to the other aura types, but their insights needs to be like a knife, because you see, in order to know yourself, you have to cut into yourself, and some people are not ready for that, and so that's why the projector has to wait for an invitation, meaning that if they wait for somebody to come and ask them for advice, that is when the door kind of opens for the projector, and then the projector can kind of go in and make the cut that is necessary to guide that person into the right path for them. But what can a projector do while they're waiting is that they can study what they're passionate about. The other thing about projectors is that they're kind of here to master a particular system. So they can use that particular system to help people, to help see into the core of people in order to guide them. So projectors can make really good mentors or guides, but they have to study their craft. They have to know where their wisdom is coming from. And then people are going to be seeing that the projector can see things that they can't, and they're going to come and ask the projector for advice, and then the projector can step in and they can experience success. That's their signature. Success for a projector means that they're being recognized in the world. That is success. They're looking to be recognized for their insights. And that can happen when somebody is ready and they're asking you for it. And then you slowly cut into them. You slowly feed them with your insight. And they see how valuable you are as a projector. And they recognize your genius. And then you feel success. So the not self theme of the projector is bitterness. When projectors are not being recognized, they really go to the state of what I would consider, because I'm a projector, so I kind of know this, cutting themselves. That's what they can do. They can turn that knife. You know, they're trying to take that knife and like trying to help people and trying to cut into people. And when people go like, whoa, especially like if it's a manifestor, a manifesting generator, I'd be like, projector, please, I don't need your advice right now. The projector has nowhere to put that energy. They turn it into themselves and they start metaphorically cutting into themselves. So they go into the state of, I'm not good enough. Why am I not good enough? Maybe it's because of the way I speak. Maybe the way I grew up, you know, I wasn't taught to speak properly, and maybe this happened in my life. And they start going to this loop, this spiral into analyzing themselves, criticizing themselves, and then they feel, oh my God, the world, you know, I just don't fit in the world. The world will never understand me. What am I here for? And this downward spiral. So this leads to bitterness for the projector. So that's why the projector has to wait for the invitation. And when you're waiting for the invitation as a projector, you know, you can write a blog. You can put videos on YouTube. You can go out and talk to different people. You have to still put yourself out there somehow, you know, for people to see you and to start recognizing you. But it's kind of like the projector has to leave their doors open to be recognized. So you'll not be recognized if your door is closed, right? People will not see you. You have to leave the door opened, but you can't leave the door opened and start pulling people in. You have to kind of leave the door open and then wait for people to come and stand in front of your door, kind of like that. So the friend and the foe of the projector is burnout. So because 70% of the world, 67% to be exact, of the world are generators, they have this cycle of cyclic workable energy. The projector doesn't have that, but because the projector wants to be recognized and they need to feel successful in life, they tend to, for a large part of their lives, work really hard like a generator would. They tend to, you know, work 8 hours a day, come home and then try to go to sleep and then get back up and work again the next day and keep that going for 5 days a week. But their energy is not like that. They don't have a defined sacral. So projectors tend to experience burnout at a particular time in their life, and in human design, it's considered to be when they're around 40 years old, they can experience burnout. So when the projector experiences burnout, they can take this opportunity to take burnout as their friend, meaning that now they're aware of what their body can and cannot do and what the right work is for them. And as a projector, I have experienced burnout about 2 years ago, earlier than a lot of projectors, I suppose, but I think that's because I knew about human design. I'm also an astrologer, so I kind of knew what was going on in my life. And I took that opportunity to understand my energy better and how my energy actually works. That it's not a consistent cycle, that my energy can keep going like that. And so they can take this opportunity to, after the burnout, to really study something that they're so interested in so that they can come out from the burnout as a guide, as a mentor to help other people in the world. So the existential question for the projector is, who is the other? And I think that projectors have a very deep understanding of other people because of the way that they can understand themselves and have a deep level of self-awareness because of metaphorically cutting into themselves. Therefore, they can understand the people around them better. And that's what the projector is made for. The projector is made to recognize other people, to be recognized, to understand others. So my experience with a projector, I know a few projectors in my life. the majority of them somehow are either Tauruses or Scorpios or Aquariuses. My sister is a projector as well, by the way. So this is what happens when two projectors meet. I'll talk about this from the perspective of being a projector. It can either be really deep bond between us, or it's really awkward. Depending on the level of intimacy that both of the projectors are allowing in that relationship, meaning that if it's an acquaintance or like a friend that I'm not really close to, it can be pretty awkward, because if it's like a colleague, you know, that like it's not a close friendship, we tend to not want people to know very deeply about us and who we are, right? But because the projector energy is like this penetrative force, like a knife, it has nowhere to go. So when I'm around somebody who is also another projector, we're like both metaphorically, energetically holding this knife, and it's designed to cut into the other person, but we are not intimate enough that we would like to be cut. So it's kind of like, where am I going to point this knife? Probably nowhere. So it's kind of awkward. You see, the energy is awkward. If two projectors are not in such a great mood, what can happen is they can really just cut into each other when they don't want to. And this happens to me a lot with my sister, because she's a projector and we're sisters. So we tend to say things that's very cutting to the core of each other when we're in a bad mood or when we're just angry with each other. It's really hurtful as a projector, as two projectors. But let's say that I'm with a projector who is ready to be open up and we're kind of closer as friends. This can be like we're going down Alice in the Wonderland's rabbit hole together. We're like in this immersive, exploratory, deep phase of really seeing into each other and then recognizing each other that way. You know, like I can see the other projectors, for example, you know, deepest fears and how they've formed strength from those fears and the obstacles they had to overcome in their lives, but they're also seeing that within me. And so it feels like we're understood by each other, and we're in this complete like other worlds of deep understanding, like you're going down the rabbit hole like Alice in the Wonderland together. So it can be a very deep relating, or it can be a very awkward relating between two projectors from what I've experienced. Reflectors. So the reflector strategy is to wait 28 days for the cycle of the moon to pass, and while you're waiting, talking to the people around you. So the reason for this, kind of like in astrology, the different gates represent different zodiac signs, right? From my first video when I talked about human design. So this means that as the 1 month passes, the planets and the moon is moving through different centers or different gates in the body and highlighting different channels, which means it's highlighting different centers in the body of the human design body graph. And so when one full moon or new moon cycle comes, because when one cycle finishes, a particular center in the body is going to be defined, and particular channels are going to be defined depending on where the sun, the moon, and the planets are in the solar system. And that is the design that the reflector will take on that month. So the way that the reflector can make decisions will change each month depending on what is being highlighted or defined in the body graph for that particular month. I hope it's making sense, guys. So therefore, their signature is surprise. Reflectors are here to embrace surprise, I think, for both how they operate and how they change every month, as well as the surprise of what they see in their community and the environment. And if a reflector is working correctly, they are not bogged down by the unhealthy toxicity of the environment or the community, because that would mean that they're experiencing their not self, which is disappointment. So because reflectors can see so clearly what's going on in the environment, they can become very disappointed, because also their friend and foe is sensitivity and inconsistency, so they can become very sensitive to the environment. But the reflector has to set boundaries. They have to be a thermometer and not a sponge, which reflectors can be very prone to becoming a sponge and absorbing the things in their environment with their sensitivity, that it leads to disappointment because of what they can see. And so they're no longer feeling surprised, but they're feeling shocked. But if the reflector can allow their aura to be a sampling aura, a thermometer that shows people what's wrong in the environment, the community, and those people are the ones who are going to fix or make the changes because they've gained insight from the reflector, then the reflector will not experience disappointment. They'll know that they don't have to be affected by their environment, and therefore they experience surprise at what they manage to show people throughout their lives. And so the existential question for the reflector is, who is different? So they themselves are very different, making up only 1% of the people in the world. They are able to see who's different in the world and the environment. They're able to reflect back to people their true selves. And so this goes to my experience with a reflector. So I've met 2 reflectors in my life. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to have met them because they're very rare. And the first reflector that I ever met, this was very interesting because the first time I ever met him, I felt that he was very intense. But then I heard that he was a reflector, so I'm like, how could he be intense? Reflectors are not supposed to be intense. But I realized that when I first met this reflector, the reason why he was so intense was because at that moment when I met him, I was intense. When I first meet people, I can have this guard up a little bit, especially at work. When I'm working, when I'm doing my work, I can have a guard up, meaning that I'm very focused on my work. I don't really want to associate with you. And I think that this reflector was reflecting back to me my state at that point, because the next time that I met this reflector, he was not intense. And because the second time that I was meeting him, I was sort of not working anymore. I had finished my work that day. I was a little bit more relaxed, and we were ready to socialize and hang out. And then the reflector became this really wise person. You know, he had a lot of insightful things to say about the people and the world, the state of the world. And I was like, this is not the reflector that I met on the first day. So he's changing according to the environment. And then the third time I met this reflector, there was a lot of people that day, and then we were having this social gathering, and we were having pizza, and we were playing this game, and everybody was high on their energy. Everybody was maybe a little competitive internally because we're playing a game, and so the reflector at that day seemed to be a little bit competitive, and he was a little bit different. He was more talkative and more, should I say, blunt with what he was saying. And I think it was because of the environment of the people that day. And so what I'm taking from this is that it's really hard to know and understand a reflector because they will change according to the environment that they're in. And I think that they're meant to be that way. And whichever scenario the reflector is in, they tend to have a certain Zen-like wisdom about them that's always consistent through each social situation. But I think what's more important is the greatest wisdom of the reflector is the wisdom to show us who we are, how healthy we are, how the deeper underlying way to read between the lines of the social situations or the environment that we are currently in. If we could read between the lines through the reflection of the reflector, we'll know the health of our environment. That's what I've learned from knowing a reflector, sorry. So before I finish off today's video, I want to read a statement that was written by amylee.co on Instagram. She writes a lot of stuff about human design types on her post. She posts a lot of that. You can check out her Instagram if you like. And I want to read out the soul lesson for each of the types for you guys. So, the soul lesson of the generator. You are here to follow the beat of your own drum. You are here to learn to honor your own desires and ensure your needs are met. You're here to experience a sensual life. You're here to achieve mastery and expertise on your chosen path. You're here to empower others to follow their heart. You're here to teach others that they can be successful and love what they do. You're here to break the rules. You are here to experience life through your body. You're here to demonstrate the creative power and magnetism of a lit-up sacral center. The soul lesson of the manifesting generator. You're here to master the art of breaking the rules. You're here to ignite a spark of inspiration. You're here to stretch humanity into new possibilities. You're here to carve your own path and inspire others to do the same. You're here to deeply understand the wisdom of your body. You're here to learn through your experiences and release any attachment to perfection. You're here to learn that you can be financially resourced for doing what you love. You're here to discover what freedom means to you. The soul lesson of the manifestor. You're here to master the art of imperfection. You're here to push societal boundaries. You're here to wake humanity up to new possibilities. You're here to learn to speak and share your truth. You're here to alchemize thought and inspiration into matter. You're here to discover what freedom is to you. You're here to master your creative and powerful energy. You're here to release any attachment to and desire for acceptance. You're here to dissolve and transmute stagnant energy. The soul lesson for the reflector. You're here to teach humanity compassion, faith, and acceptance. You're here to transform your experiences into teachings. You're here to learn that your needs are non-negotiable. You're here to learn to put yourself first. You're here to learn to honor your cycles and the ebbs and flow of your energy. You're here to become a true energy alchemist. You're here to embody and express your unique way of being. You're here to lead with soul. And the soul lesson for the projector. You're here to alchemize your lessons into teachings. You're here to love, appreciate, and recognize how innately brilliant you are. You're here to honor your weird and wacky ways. You're here to share your wisdom from the heart and without attachment. You're here to immerse yourself in your curiosities, passions, and obsessions. You're here to learn to receive. You're here to empower others to rest in a world that teaches us not to. You're here to master your powerful and magnetic energy. Alright guys, so do comment below what your type is and what has been your experience with mastering your energy, your aura, to make it raise to its highest vibration. And also comment below if you've experienced any of these other aura types and what that experience has been like. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. I do astrology, birth chart readings, synastry relationship readings. All the information is on my website. You can check that out. And if you would like more human design videos, do comment below and let me know what else you would like to see. And that's it for today. Beautiful souls, I'll see you soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye!